Hi guys, George from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your AVA Leisure Statesman. So under the bonnet here on the left, you've got your engine battery, split relay down the back there, so that when your engine's running, your engine battery here also charges up your Leisure, so it sort of splits off the power equally. Your power steering, brake fluid is just up here attached to the servo at the back. Power steering fluid just here at the front should be a nice kind of reddy colour in there. Your engine oil dipstick is this one just here with a yellow top, and you also open this up to actually fill up your engine oil as well. So that's where you go for that. Engine coolant is up here. You can see that the level is just below the maximum line, and it's a nice pink colour, nothing too nasty. It's not all sort of rusty coloured, so the engine itself is nice and clean. Obviously you need to check that when the engine's cold to give you an accurate reading, and you've got your washer fluid reservoir on the right. Diesel filling point is this one just inside here. You get that to open up by pushing on this left hand side, and it just opens up like that. Nothing really to show you on the inside of the passenger door. Just wonder if there's anything else. No. A little bit of storage just behind the underneath the passenger seat, and obviously the seats come forward. I know that you've seen how they work, so I'll leave them as they are just after it's been cleaned, so I don't want to get all filthy dirty in there. The back here you've got two tables. Again, like I said, these poles just go into the slots down there, and the tables sit on top, so they're both back here quite neatly stowed away, so you don't get any way at all when you're actually using the vehicle. Your reversing camera is up there. Try to do it quite neatly so that we can be happy with it as well as you. Got a little bit of like a rain shield kind of thing above it, but it's all waterproof anyway. I've made sure there's a really good seal around the wire that goes in. And then as for running the actual wire itself, I've gone up underneath this little bit of trunk in here so you can't see it from inside. Obviously you can see it a little bit from here, but yeah, hopefully it's not too sort of obtrusive. Brought it in down there, and then it attaches just here. So obviously you've got your full size wing mirror or center mirror mounted camera screen down there, which I'll show you how all that works in just a minute. Your gas locker is back here, so you've got two of these little bottles in here. They're the 907, so they're the biggest camping gas ones you can get. So actually it will last you a lot longer than you might expect. Turning the bottle on is anti-clockwise around to the left, and turning the bottle off is clockwise around to the right. So on the offside rear here, got your hookup point. So if you're at your campsite or at home, wherever you are, if you can put a hookup cable into the vehicle, it's much better for the vehicle, because it keeps your battery topped up, and you never have to worry about any voltage problems and things like that. But I'll explain that in more detail in a minute. Boiler vent is this one just here. If you ever wanted to drain the boiler out, flathead screwdriver in there, and just very slowly turn it to open it out. And your freshwater inlet is this one just here. Right, so I will show you a couple of bits in the cab. Again, try not to make it too dirty. So I know that you already know a couple of these bits, but obviously you've got a nice low mileage, 57,000 miles. The indicator stalk is this closest one just here. Again, I know that you've driven it yourself, but just thought I'd point these bits out. To use your actual flash as well is the back one, not the front one. If you do this on the front one, nothing will happen. Flashing will do that. 5-speed manual gearbox, reverse down to the bottom right. Hazard lights work just there from the middle, and all of your sort of temperature and fan settings are all just there in the middle. Left the original tape on there so you can see. The camera itself and all the wiring and stuff, which is obviously behind all of this, is all 12 volt fed, but it will only work when your ignition's on, so you can't drain the engine battery out or anything like that. So I'll just show you now. There's no ignition on at the moment and I can't switch it on, and all I have to do is put the ignition on and then the screen will come on. I don't know if it's any use to you, but it has actually got, it's one of the cameras that has got a little microphone in it. So when you're driving along, you will be able to hear it, you know, whatever's going on as well. But it's just, you know, one of those things. But I'll just show you, when I turn the ignition off, just prove to you that it's all wired up correctly. So ignition goes off and then the screen would go off as well. So 12 volt live feed, and so you, like I said, you won't be able to drain the engine battery out from leaving it on or anything if you turn the ignition off. Other than that, that's about it for the cab really. It's quite nice and simple. Bonnet release is this one just here, and yeah, so I think that's about it. So if I carry on around the other side now, just make sure there's nothing down there. Okay, so freshwater drain is that one just there. So like I said, you know, and if you fill up your freshwater tank, that's where you drain that off from. And there should be a waste as well. Just see what it is. Well, maybe it is towards the back, I just didn't see it. Probably should have checked this before the video, shouldn't I? Oh no, I see it, I've missed it. It's on that side still. So both of your drains for water are on this near side. Okay, yeah. So this clear pipe here is your wastewater drain, and the blue ended one is your freshwater drain. So they're both here on the near side. So nice and accessible. I've seen much worse. That's some, you know, some of them are built sort of so that you can barely get to them. It's quite annoying, but yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take my shoes off before I go in because he's only literally just hoovered it out. Right, so we start by starting with your control panel. So like I said to you when you first came down, it's a PMS, so it's a really nice quality power supply unit. Plug-in Systems is the brand. So if you ever want to look up anything to do with that, then you can do. So at the top you've got your main 240 volt isolators. So if any of them were facing down, then obviously, you know, you'd have to put them back up again before certain things will start working again. But they're all good at the moment. Charger supply, so you can leave that one on. So all that does is when you plug a hookup cable into the vehicle, if you have this switched on, it should light up, and then all that means is that your leisure battery, which is down there, will be being charged up, basically. The other bits, these are all just sort of little glass fuses. You don't really need to worry about those because they're all fine, obviously, after we've done the habitation check. Battery selector, if you're not using the vehicle, you want to leave that in its position now, so in the off position between the two left and right, and put it to van if you want to use the vehicle. If you want to use your lights, if you want to use anything at all, you need to make sure that it's on van. The reason for that is if you put it to car like that, what will happen is anything that you use either won't work like that, which is good really, or if it does work, it will start to drain out your engine battery. So you want to make sure that you leave it on van if you do want to use the vehicle, and then you can go ahead and use your lights and things. So yeah, make sure that you leave it on van if you want to use the vehicle, and off if you don't. Pump switch, that'll only work when you've got it switched over on van, and then that'll basically just give you access to using your taps. So if I just show you now something important to know. So you've got your main simple little tap system here, cold on the left, hot on the right. So one thing that's really important that I want to tell you, so with the pump, it's a self-purging pump and it will also turn itself off when it gets to pressure. It's really important. I know that you've got a manual boiler dropout valve on this one, so it's not so bad, but when you first come into the van, if you want to heat the water up and things like that, you need to make sure that you put your pump on and just make sure that this hot side comes through okay. Like that. If the water's not coming through like that when the pump's running on the hot side, that means that your boiler isn't full of water. If the boiler's not full of water, you shouldn't be trying to turn it on. So until it does come through like that, then, you know, don't try turning it on. If you find that it isn't coming through normally, don't panic. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It either means that you've not got enough water in the tank, so from your freshwater inlet, which I showed you outside, or it means that your boiler drain on the outside, that bottom left flathead screw bit, is slightly open or open. So just make sure that you check that first. Make sure that the pump turns itself off when you've turned the hot tap off, and then once it's done that, you can then go ahead and start using your boiler as you know, however you want to. But yeah, so I thought I'd just mention that. It's really important. Cupboards up here, I think you've got the original sort of plate holders and cup holders and things like that are in there. If you wanted to use those, you don't have to. You've got a 2-burner hob and grill. So the grill is under here. Grill is this middle button just here, and so you've got no ignition, no like electronic ignition, so you will need like a clicker or something to actually light either of these up, including the grill as well. But they're just, you know, just like any household gas system. It's not anything technical at all. Just push and hold it whilst you light it up and you'll be good to go. Nice and simple. Toilet cassette locker is just down here. So the flush fluid gets topped up from here. So I'll show you that. That's that in there. And you've got a little gauge just down here. Whoop. Typical, isn't it? I'll get that in a minute. You've got a little gauge just down here, which really wants to be where this little mark is on the inside. So, you know, at some point, just top that up. Plenty in there for a minute. To get these out, you can see how easy it is. Push this little button down whilst you pull it out. You've got the bigger toilet cassette. Most of these are 10 litre. This one's a 20 because it's the longer version, because you've got a bench seat toilet. So basically all you need to know is that you drain it out from here, and when you're draining it out, you should be holding down the little yellow tab at the back there, just whilst you're doing that. If you're not going to have it habitation checked every year, you could keep your eye on this little seal just here. So when you pull this out, lubricate that seal every once in a while with some kind of silicone lubricant. But like I say, if you're going to have a habitation check, I don't know about everybody, but we lubricate those as part of every habitation check anyway. So if you keep on top of the hab checks, you shouldn't have to do that. What else have we got? Gas isolator taps just there. So if you wanted to isolate any of your appliances, you can do it from that. Storage in there. Just trying to cover all bases really. Make sure there's nothing that I'm missing out. Okay, so I would definitely have missed that out. So all of this stuff in here. So this is obviously your water pump. So really nice and easy to get to if ever anything went wrong. The switch just here is for your boiler on electric. So where it is now, obviously you can see it's in the off position. If you made sure that your hot water is full first, like I showed you just a minute ago, and you had a hookup plugged into the vehicle, you could switch that on, and then after sort of half an hour or so, you should have hot water coming through the taps. Make sure that you switch that off before you leave the vehicle, because you don't want to accidentally leave that on and then you know, drain the boiler out or something like that. Because if you drain the boiler out or if the boiler is drained out and you plug a hookup cable into the vehicle, forgetting that you've got this switch on, then essentially the boiler will just try and heat up regardless. So it's really important to make sure that you turn that off when you are finished with it. Just make sure, yeah, it's off. Otherwise, if you want to heat the boiler up, heat the water inside the boiler up via the gas, all you have to do is make sure that your gas is switched on, obviously, and come to this little Carver Cascade dial just here. You got an off and an on switch. All you have to do is press the on switch once, the light will come on, boiler will light up, and then the light just there at the top will just stay on. The other two lights, if your battery level is too low to actually light it up, you get a light here in the middle, and if the flame doesn't quite light up in time, you get a little red light at the bottom. The red light at the bottom with the flame fail light is not something to worry about whatsoever. That might well happen now, you know, I don't know, but no, looks like it has lit up. The light at the bottom there that says the flames failed is completely normal. It happens most times. These Carvers are really reliable, but sometimes they do take 1 or 2 times to just light up at the first go. I think it's because it takes a little while for the gas to get drawn to it from the bottles, but you know, it's just one of those things. But it's lit up at the moment, and then like I said, same with the gas really, same with the electric, sorry. It might take half an hour or so to get your hot water coming through, but in comparison to the newer boilers, these get hotter much quicker in my opinion. So yeah, there you go. I'll turn that off now, and that's it. So that's your hot water. Really simple. You've got up here your Propex heating. So again, another really simple design. All you have to do is push to the right if you just want a fan. So if you push to the right, I can feel already there's cool air pumping around through that fan hole there. And if you actually want to light it up and get hot air pumping around, back to the middle and then to the left. You've got a little thermostat sort of dial here, but basically just turn that up and then switch it over to the left. Cool air will draw itself in from somewhere else, I'm not sure where from. But basically, yeah, it will just turn itself off and then it will light back up again in just a second. But that's basically how you use your heating. It's as simple as pushing the button one to the left and then just waiting for it to light up, really. So you can switch that off, back to the middle, and that's it. So I will turn this battery selector switch off for now. The bathroom is nice and simple as well. So you've got a little point just here, which is for your shower to work, basically. So all you have to do is literally just lift this out and put it up here, and that'll work as a shower. I'm not sure if you're going to be using it as a shower or not, but it is nice and simple. Just take this little bit of floor mat out and then you can use it as a shower. If not, you have also got your sink here as well, so that same tap is for both. So push that back through, and then you've got your tap for your sink as well. You notice as well there's no drain hole in this thing. The drain holes are down the back here, so when you fill this up, you literally just slowly lift it back and then just drain the water down the back there. That's the way they're always built. Toilet, nice and simple. Push down on this. Oh, sorry, it's the other style. So turning this lever here around to the left opens the flap up into your cassette. Closing it back over closes it, and then use this bit here, turn it to pump the flush fluid around. So you need to do that before and after using it. Drain it into the cassette, close it back over. That's it. Nice and simple. So, fridge, let me just show you in here first if there's anything else. So, paperwork is up here. You've got a fire extinguisher there. It looks like it's out of date to me. So it's probably been, yeah, I can see there, expiry 2003. So Would definitely recommend getting a new fire extinguisher, just for safety really. So yeah, your fridge. Where are we? So it's a electric fridge. So you just turn this little switch just here to turn the fridge on, and then you've got a little dial just down the back there. So I can hear already it's a 12-volt fridge. So yeah, I can hear that that's working. You've got 1 to 7, sorry. So when you turn this button on, the fridge will start working. Obviously, being a 12-volt fridge, I'll just turn that off now. Being a 12-volt fridge, you can use it when you're driving, you can use it when you're not driving, it doesn't really matter. The only thing to point out with a 12-volt fridge is that it will eventually drain your battery out if you don't have a hookup plugged in or anything like that. Obviously, when you start the engine up and you leave it running whilst your engine's running, that's not a problem because you've got that split charger that I showed you under the bonnet. So essentially, when you start the engine up, the engine battery is being charged up by the alternator, and then the power gets transferred from there to your leisure battery, which, like I said, is just down there under the fridge. So when you have it on when the engine's running, it's not a problem. But if you don't have a hookup plugged into the vehicle or the engine running, and you have that fridge on for a long time, you will find that the leisure battery will sort of start to drain out quite low. So if you're going to use the fridge, it would just be my advice to have a hookup plugged into the vehicle, and then you won't have to worry about that whatsoever because your battery will be being charged up whilst it's being used. So that's the best way to use it in my opinion. So yeah, obviously the wire comes through just here for your camera. So I did try and keep it as neat as I possibly could. So it's I know it's a bit of a shame about the little hole there, but I couldn't come down any lower because of where it is on the outside. So yeah, that's just how it had to be, unfortunately, but hope it's not too bad. I know that you've seen the beds out already when you came down to view it, but yeah, I've tried to keep the wiring for the camera quite neat. You can probably see how they go in down here and then it goes down here and across and things, but yeah, so I hope that's all right for you. Otherwise, main things to do when you first come into the van, like I said to you, that the reason I showed you about the whole checking the hot water thing and making sure the pump turns itself off and all that is because the boiler really, it doesn't really matter what motorhome you've got, the boiler is probably the most expensive part in here, and so you do just sort of have to keep your eye on it and make sure that you look after it. So making sure that you have it actually full up before you start trying to use it is really important. There's lots of other important stuff as well, but you'll find all that out. But yeah, it's just important to keep your eye on the boiler really. If the boiler's full up as well and it's going to get to a really cold temperature and you want to drain it out so that it doesn't freeze, you need to make sure that you do drain that out first before you get to that sort of temperature, because if the water in that is full up and it freezes, it will expand and crack all the pipes and things like that. So it's really important you drain it out first before you get to that sort of temperature. If you're going to be using the van, it doesn't really matter so much because obviously you'll be keeping the van a bit warmer. But if you're going to lock it up over winter, just make sure that you drain all the water out, including the pipes down on here. So yeah, it's just important to keep your eye on those things. And yeah, just making sure that you don't drain the battery out too much using the fridge if you don't have a hookup plugged into the vehicle. And like I say, if you do have a hookup plugged in, it's fantastic because you don't have to worry about the battery voltage. You can leave that on, you can do whatever you want pretty much. But yeah, if you don't, it's not a problem if you don't as well, because you just have to keep your eye on it. But yeah, so I think I've shown you everything I can really. I know that you're coming down soon to collect the vehicle, so I'll wrap it up. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But yeah, otherwise I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.